Hello everybody, in today's video we're going to be going over a major snowstorm over the Rockies and an Arctic air blast over parts of the northern plains as well as the Great Lakes. So we have a lot of cold air that's just being unleashed over the central United States. Some areas could see 50-degree below normal temperatures, so we're going to be going over all of that and more in today's video, including my personal snowfall forecast for this major snowstorm over the Rockies. So let's get right into it here with your National Weather Service page. We have wind advisories, in fact, just scattered throughout parts of the northern Rockies and northern plains. Freeze watches for western North Dakota. Severe thunderstorm watches for parts of Illinois and Iowa. We also have a larger area of red flag warnings for the northern plains and also for the northern Rockies and also for Washington, Oregon, and California there. Now, we also have winter weather advisories, winter storm watches in effect, and they're scattered underneath this red flag warning there. So you can't see it, but they are scattered also underneath this red flag warning. So you can't see it, but they are still in effect there. So we do have a lot of inclement weather moving throughout these regions. Now, we have high wind warnings in effect for parts of Oregon, Idaho, and into even parts of western Montana. Heat advisories in effect for parts of Nevada and also into California. Excessive heat warnings in effect for parts of the Southwest. And that pretty much wraps it up for your National Weather Service page. Extremely active over parts of the western United States. And believe it or not, there's not a lot going on in the eastern United States. It's kind of two different land masses, pretty much. You have very, very quiet over the east, very, very active over the west. And that's mainly just because we have extreme heat kind of confined to the coastal regions. We have a snowstorm and record cold confined further to the east and further inland. And we also have a snowstorm that's going to be ongoing. And we also have extreme winds moving through. So all of that is just a recipe for some pretty dangerous weather. Now, here is just to start off, here's your temperature anomaly map for Wednesday the 9th. And this is the day of the snowstorm and when it's really going to be impacting parts of Wyoming, Colorado, and New Mexico. Now, you see that we have temperatures in Fahrenheit that are about 50 degrees below what is typical for this time of year. You're going to have highs that are topping out in the upper 30s, low 40s in some of these regions. So very, very warm temperatures. Now, or very, very cold temperatures. Now, here's your here's your low temperature for Wednesday the 9th, and we are looking at many areas receiving temperatures that are going to be in the teens and 20s, especially in higher elevated regions. And then in these whites, that's temperatures topping out in the upper 30s, upper to mid 30s in those regions. So a very, very cold day, especially on the 9th of September for many of these regions, and that's going to allow some snowfall to fall in these regions. Now, here is your European high resolution model that goes out 90 hours, and this will take us through the entirety of this storm, and we're going to play this through, take 3 hour chunks at a time. Now, here would be by Monday, and this would be right around the afternoon time, and this would be Monday. I'm using mountain time right now, and this would be a Monday right around 12 p.m. mountain time, and over western Montana, you're seeing some snowfall pop up in some of those higher elevation regions. You're seeing this clipper system kind of just move south from parts of Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, and move south, and that will, on the western edge of this, bring quite a bit of snowfall to some of these higher elevation regions. Now, here would be by Monday 3 p.m. Mountain Time, and we're seeing western Montana, especially southern Montana, northern Wyoming, starting to get into the snowfall. Now, here would be by about 6 p.m. Mountain Time, and we're seeing northern Wyoming, a bit of mixing in some of those lower elevated regions. And that blue line, by the way, that you see kind of dotted about, that is the freezing line. So anywhere inside of there is under 32 degrees Fahrenheit. So that's where we're seeing freezing temperatures. Now, here would be by about 9 p.m. Mountain Time, and it's starting to dip further to the south, southwestern Montana, northeastern parts of Idaho, also into much of central Wyoming. They're seeing quite a bit of heavy to moderate snowfall by this point. Now, we're getting into the midnight hour of Tuesday, the 8th of September, and all of Wyoming, for the most part, is in some sort of wintry mix or snowfall by this point. Rain still going on further to the east. Now we still do have over Wyoming quite a bit of snowfall going on, but this is by 3 a.m. on Tuesday, and we're seeing over some of the foothills in Colorado, we're starting to see a little bit of snowfall start to pop up there. And then as we continue, this would be by 6 a.m. Tuesday, and we're seeing much of the southern half of Wyoming still in some snowfall, but we also see for northeastern Utah and northwestern Colorado, we do see a wintry mix or some snowfall in those regions. Now, also, as we get into 9 a.m. Mountain Time on Tuesday, we're seeing quite a bit of snowfall for parts of Wyoming, Utah, and Colorado by this point. A wintry mix for some of those lower elevation regions, higher elevation regions, even just a few thousand feet up, are seeing snowfall by this point. Now, here would be by Tuesday noontime, and we are seeing quite a bit of snowfall still moving throughout Wyoming, Utah, and northern Colorado, even western Nebraska. They're seeing a wintry mix or some snowfall in those regions. Now, most of the snowfall will, you're going to see the snowfall totals from the European model at the end of the video and just a little bit after we finish this model run, but you are going to see some quite high amounts. I would just recommend that you half those, so you cut those in half, just because you are in a warmer atmosphere. You're not going to have extreme cold. For this time of year, it is extreme cold, but it's not going to be 20 degrees. 10 degrees outside, so you're not going to have everything that falls sticking. You're going to see some of the stuff that especially falls on pavement just completely melt away as soon as it touches the pavement. So that is something that we have to pay attention to. You're not going to see all of this stick, and most of this will be melted within a couple of days. So this is not going to stick for a very, very long time. Maybe some of the highest elevation regions will see this. We'll see most of their snowfall stick, but for the most part, some of this will melt, and that's something that you have to take into consideration. And that I took that into consideration in my snowfall forecast at the end of the video. So here would be by Tuesday, I believe this would be 3 p.m. Mountain Time Tuesday, and we're looking at southern Wyoming into northeastern Utah, western Colorado, seeing still that snowfall, and it's starting to dip into New Mexico. Now, northernmost New Mexico, seeing some heavy to moderate snowfall by this point. This would be by 6 p.m. on Tuesday, the 8th of September. Now, here would be by Tuesday, 9 p.m. Now, by this would be by Wednesday, midnight, and we are seeing most of the snowfall dip down into parts of Nebraska, eastern Colorado, and now moving into parts of northern New Mexico. Now, the overnight period on Wednesday, Tuesday into Wednesday, is when you're going to get most of your snowfall accumulation, especially if you live in northern New Mexico or into parts of eastern Colorado. That's where it's going to be cold enough overnight where you're going to see temperatures most likely hovering right around 30 degrees, where you could see some snowfall accumulation, especially over eastern Colorado, northern New Mexico, maybe also, but it's mainly going to be confined to higher elevation regions, and even into western Nebraska, western Kansas, and even into parts of Oklahoma and Texas could see a little bit of a dusting overnight that will most likely melt away as we move on with time. Now, here would be this will be by Wednesday, 3 a.m., and we're still seeing that snowfall persist throughout parts of Colorado and New Mexico. And then this would be by Wednesday, 6 a.m. So the sun is starting to rise in these regions, and this will really start to heat up the ground, and a lot will start to melt by this point. Now, here would be by Wednesday, I believe this would be right around 9 a.m., if I'm not mistaken, and we're seeing northern New Mexico, southern Colorado still into that snowfall. And then let's continue this. This would be by Wednesday, 12 p.m., and we are seeing still that snowfall, but a little bit more broken up over those regions. And then it really starts to break up. This would be by about 3 p.m., and this would be by about 6 p.m. on Wednesday, the 9th. So that is basically wrapping up this snowstorm and the futurecast model for this. But we are going to start to look at your snowfall totals, and I will show you my personal snowfall forecast in just a couple of minutes. So we're going to look state by state for the snowfall totals, starting off with Montana, and we'll go all the way down to New Mexico. We do have, especially in some of those higher elevations in western Montana, potentially seeing a foot of snowfall, and this would be pretty much cutting this in half. You're seeing most likely 6 6 inches in the highest elevation regions. Now, here would be for Wyoming, and this is where you really start to see some very, very high totals. Once you get into kind of this shade of blue right here, that would be right here, this is where you're getting over 40 inches. Now, that is not likely for the system, and I'm thinking more around maybe a foot of snowfall for those regions. It's going to be a very, very heavy, wet snowfall, so I don't understand how this model is bringing so much snowfall, but definitely it is a possibility. Definitely beware, but I would, again, cut these totals in half, and I think that's more of an accurate representation of what's going to happen. Here would be for Colorado, and you see much of the state, especially the central corridor of the state, in some sort of 2 foot plus amount. Again, cut that in half. You're seeing maybe 6 to 12 inches of snowfall out of this. Now, if we look at this would be for New Mexico, only northern New Mexico seeing anything. And again, if you cut that in half, maybe highest elevation region seeing 3 to 6, maybe 6 to maybe 8 or 9 inches of snowfall. So let's start getting to my forecast. Now we're going to start off with your 1 to 3 inch region, and again, this is going from today all the way until the 9th. So from today the 6th all the way until the 9th. That's the period that this is valid for. So as you get into pretty much western and central Montana, into much of eastern Wyoming, kind of fingering into parts of Utah, and then also for eastern Colorado and also northeastern New Mexico, we're looking at probably 1 to 3 inches of snowfall, and that is after I cut pretty much all those totals in half, or even lowered it even more, just because I don't think the atmosphere is usually when you're in a warmer environment, which it will be in this case for a snowstorm. This is quite a warm environment. You will have heavy wet snowfall for the most part, and that looks to be the case. And heavy wet snowfall does not fall at the same rate that fluffy snowfall will. So if you're in a 20-degree environment, you're seeing more snowfall than you will in a 30-degree environment, just because the moisture content in the snowfall. So you're seeing 1 to 3 inches all throughout this lightest blue shade. Now in the darker blue, this is where we're looking at 3 to 6 inches, higher elevation regions in parts of Montana, Wyoming, and then also for western South Dakota there, and then also for central Colorado throughout the foothills there. Now, also, I could have put one for northern Montana there, but I'm not really impressed by the snowfall totals that I'm seeing there. So I do think maybe some highest elevation peaks could see maybe 4 to 6 inches of snowfall, but I don't think it will be as widespread as some of these areas in Wyoming and Colorado. Now, here's your 6 to 12 inch region, and this is your final region here, and this is over northern and central Colorado, throughout the northern foothills there, and over the central Rockies. That's where I'm expecting 6 to 12 inches of snowfall out of this snowfall event. So I hope you guys do like the map style, and this is going to be kind of what I'm using for much of the winter storms, especially throughout the winter months, as you start to get winter storms moving throughout the plains and into parts of the Midwest and the Great Lakes, and into parts of the eastern United States. This is really the type of map style that I'm going to start to use, and I used this a little bit last year, and I did modify it just a little bit this year. I modified some of the colors, I modified the base map for this, so I did change a couple of things up, and I hope you guys do like it. If you have any suggestions for something I could change with this, definitely this is the time to do it, while we're in between snowstorms, and we didn't even start really the fall snow season, so this would definitely be the time to leave your suggestions down below, and I read all your comments. If you have any questions, leave them down below. I read all those comments, and I read them by me hearting them, and most of the comments I do respond to as well. So that is going to wrap it up for today's video. Please consider liking the video, subscribing, and turning on notifications, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.